All right, this just happened. We are looking at CNN today. I hate CNN, but this is where I'm getting the information from today. Apparently, Trump's removing all federal aid, and I want to hear about this. So I thought I could discuss it while we watch this.
This could be trillions of dollars in funding that impacts programs and people in the United States and around the world, things like disaster aid for medical charities, food assistance programs. This all came in a two-page memo that kind of lacks clarity on exactly how this should be implemented. It has also sparked new debates about constitutionality. A lot of questions here. Let's get right to the White House for
Tell me
CNN's
about
Elena
it.
Train, who I know has been digging on this. Elena.
Lena's cute.
That's right. This is really the latest stunning use of power from President Donald Trump's White House just 8 days now.
Is it
into
stunning?
His new administration.
Stunningly good.
This internal memo that was circulated by the White House Office of Management and Budget says that all federal grants and loans will be halted starting at 5 p.m. today, potentially impacting trillions of dollars in spending, and also potentially impacting millions of Americans who rely on this type
Woke gender
of
ideology.
funding. Now, I said, this is expected to take effect at 5 p.m. today. That means a lot of these organizations were given less than 24 hours notice of
Foreign aid, DEI, Green New Deal, woke gender ideology. My man did it. Wow, our countries aren't quit wasting money. About dang time. Look at this dude. He got money for the people instead of for the weirdos in the countries that aren't us. Wow. Can you believe that? And look, Social Security, Medicaid, assistance, all that's left just fine.
this change, and they have until February 10th to submit reports to the budget office at the White House, and from there, seeking clarity on how this will move forward. Now, one thing that is clear is that the freeze on this is something that the budget office is saying is for organizations that don't necessarily align with Donald Trump's views. I want to
That's
read
not
what,
true.
Matthew Vaith, the acting
It's
director of the Office of Management,
what is and
said
isn't
in
a
the
waste
memo,
of
he
money.
said, quote, the use of federal resources to advance Marxist equity, transgenderism, and Green New Deal social engineering policies is a waste of taxpayer dollars that does not
Yeah, it sure
improve
is.
the day-to-day
I would tell you,
lives
I
of those
would
who
guarantee
serve. Now, to be
at
clear,
least
John,
80% of the
memo
United
does
States
specify
say that
Social
that's
Security and Medicare benefits are
the
not
statement.
going to be affected.
I would say
by this
80%
freeze.
say that that is how
Also
it works.
individuals who receive these different loans.
Now, you might not see that
be
online
impacted.
because a
However,
lot of online are
hundreds
not
of different
the
federal
majority.
payouts are now in jeopardy, all from charities to different research bodies, universities, community projects. All of those could be impacted by this move. Now, we've heard a lot of top Democrats sounding the alarm on this. We heard just this morning from Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker, a Democrat. This is what he had to say. He posted on X, quote, the U.S. Constitution does not grant the president this unilateral authority.
Yeah,
In
he does.
Illinois,
No,
we will
yeah, he-
stand against unlawful actions that would
Yeah, he
harm
does.
millions of working families, children, and seniors. Now, we also heard
The
from people on
president
Capitol
gives you the
Hill
right to
who
see
are
what they're
arguing,
spending money
again,
on.
that Donald Trump might not have the authority to
He
do this.
has
This is
the
kind of
authority
what
to
Chuck
do
Schumer
this.
said in a statement last night. He said, quote, Congress approved these investments and they are not optional.
I don't want to
They
hear
are
about Chuck
the law.
Schumer.
So a lot of questions, as you can tell, about whether or not this is something the White House is actually able to do. Now, some experts have said that the president does have the authority, at least temporarily, to put a pause on this type of funding. But again, we really do have to see the details of this because the scope and scale of this directive is so broad and impacts so many different people.
It's not
that there's
broad.
going to be a lot of questions on this. Now,
It's
we do,
stopping the waste
to
of
hear
money
from
so we can go
Caroline
do
Leavitt, the
things
White House
that are
press secretary,
important.
later today at 1 p.m. I expect she's going to get a lot of questions on this, John.
First,
Even
I
if
think
you're a
the
Bernie
White
Sanders
House
fan,
press conference,
all
and
of
I
this
do
money
expect
that they're
this will
stopping
be
could
a
go to
major
free
topic
Medicare.
there. Elena Trian, great to have you on with us this morning. Thank you very much. With us now, his defense attorney and former federal prosecutor Shan Wu. And you heard Elena talk about the legal questions here that stem from, say, the Constitution, which I think everyone knows puts the power to tax and spend in the hands of Congress. It's the spending clause that Congress shall have the power to lay taxes and collect them, duties, imposts, excises, to pay the debts and provide for the common defense and general welfare of the United States.
It's such
That
an
is
obvious bias when you
typically
listen to CNN.
been meant to mean that Congress spends, right?
Right. And not only is there a constitutional issue, but there's also a law that was meant to address this, which does address it, the Impoundment Act. And this, on its face, clearly violates that. I mean, the 45 days that was just mentioned within the Impoundment Act allows for some temporary pauses, but the emphasis is on the transparency being required to Congress. That the executive branch would have to set forth the exact reasons. And the reasons they gave in this memo is just a bunch of campaign slogans like Marxist, anti-Marxist things, anti-trans issues, and it's very flimsy. I mean, on its face, I think what's interesting, John, is it
No,
sounds like
it's
it's
not.
kind of more, meat
It's
to the
what
base, but
people voted
underneath that
for.
is really this enormous expansion, continued expansion of the unitary executive theory, giving the president as much power as possible. So it's definitely headed for the courts.
A huge potential expansion of power here, and I'm glad you brought up the Impoundment Act of 1974, because we can look at that, the Impoundment Control Act, we can look at that one of two ways here, whether or not it inhibits the president, whether or not it's constitutional. But one thing is clear is that Donald Trump knows it exists. He knows there are limitations on what presidents can do in terms of not spending. Listen to this. He put out a video, like a year and a half ago on this.
Thomas Jefferson famously used this power, as did many other presidents, until it was wrongfully curtailed by the Impoundment Control Act of 1974.
Yeah, he's not dumb.
Not a very good act.
Now, again, in this, it's clear he doesn't like the act, but I imagine in a courtroom one could say he knows it's there.
Yeah, he does know it's there.
That's absolutely right.
He
Again,
just
the Trump administration
is going to do as he needs.
The legalities of much earlier times, so he's going back to Jefferson, and that was enacted during President Nixon's period. And some people have opined that Nixon only signed it because he was too enmeshed in the Watergate scandal to really be able to object to it. But certainly in the court, they're going to say that he's violating that, and unquestionably, what the Trump folks are going to argue is that the act itself is unconstitutional. So that will head directly to the Supreme Court.
No, they're not.
Despite the extreme conservative majority right now, this
They're
is a pretty questionable one because it's a classic
trillions of dollars that's using money. They're saying grants and loans, but for worthless things in important things.
This memo, which the White House put out,
he's stopping with the worthless things.
Money on this cause that Congress voted on in a different way or a certain way. It says that we just don't like what Congress decided to do. So that's
because that's what that money could be used for better things.
By a majority in Congress and signed by a president, correct?
No, that's exactly right.
And presidents can undo other presidents' stuff as necessary.
Than this general idea of, we just think that generally everything's heading the wrong direction, so we're not giving out any money until we approve it, make sure it goes through our filters. But you can't do that. I mean, this is money. It's already
he is.
Damage is enormous. I mean, even this issue about not going to individuals is fuzzy because while they're exempting that on its face, there's money that is federal money goes to state agencies to distribute to individuals. So it's very easy to see how it really wipes out a lot of benefits for individuals too.
Again,
individuals that don't deserve it and don't need it.
Whether or not he intends this to be temporary, we will see. How far it goes from here, also to be determined. Shanwu, thank you.
All right. My thoughts on that. If it's for DEI, transgenderism, anything like that, that's a big waste of money. Yeah. Why wouldn't you stop it? Give it to the people that actually need it. People that have health problems, people that have, or just use it to lower inflation. All this spending is being wasted on this stuff. Why would other countries need our money? When we are in a crisis that needs just groceries to go down in prices. It is insane to think that these people want to give our money to foreign nations when we could be using it on the homeless man that and I know you have and I have down the street. It's pathetic to think that these people want to give money to a mentally ill retard than someone that actually deserves it, and it is a U.S. citizen. that needs help, that has no home. What a waste. I can't agree with. This is my problem with CNN. It's so biased. You have to take the fluff and just realize that, hey, what they say is grain of salt. What he was saying, they were reporting the news, and then he just actively threw so much like pandering to one side. It's crazy. That's crazy.